Look up.
Look up. What you see is a catastrophe. For 4 billion years, the sun has been screaming energy into the vacuum. A continuous, violent thermonuclear explosion, detonating the equivalent of 1 trillion nuclear warheads every single second. And humanity? We are merely shivering in the scattered sparks. We capture less than 1/100000th of 1% of this output. The rest is lost forever to the deep cold of the universe. This is the Great Waste. A civilization defined by its inefficiency, scrambling for fossilized sunlight buried in the dirt, while a fusion reactor burns unchecked overhead. To become a Type 2 civilization is not just an upgrade, it is an act of cosmic theft. We must stop admiring the star. We must cage it. The math is unforgiving. To capture a star, you cannot simply launch solar panels from the surface of Earth. The logistics are impossible. The gravity well is too deep, and the resources are too scarce. We need more metal than exists in the entire crust of our home world. Science fiction often depicts a solid shell, a Dyson sphere, encasing the sun. This is an engineering fantasy, a structure that would shatter under its own gravitational stress before the first rivet cooled. The reality is a swarm, a Dyson swarm. Trillions of independent, free-floating mirrors and collectors dancing in a chaotic yet precise orbital choreography. A dense fog of technology thick enough to blot out the stars behind it. But to build the cage, we must butcher a planet. We look to Mercury. It is close to the furnace, scorched, biologically dead, and rich in iron. In the eyes of a Type 2 civilization, Mercury is not a world. It is a quarry. In the ledger of galactic evolution, the price of a star is the death of a planet. The timeline begins in the late 22nd century. Humanity, choking on energy scarcity, makes the utilitarian choice. We do not terraform Mercury, we dismantle it. We strip mine the crust, the mantle, and finally the core. We convert an entire celestial body into a cloud of intelligent mirrors. This is the what-if that defines our future. We stop treating the solar system as a collection of nature preserves and start treating it as a construction site. As the first excavators touch down on the burning gray dust of Mercury, the clock starts on the greatest engineering project in history. We do not send a workforce. We send a seed. To dismantle a planet, we require a lever of infinite mechanical advantage, the von Neumann probe. This is an autonomous machine designed with a singular recursive directive. Mine, refine, replicate. The first probe lands on the terminator line of Mercury, the twilight zone between burning heat and freezing cold. It deploys solar collectors to drink the intense sunlight. It extends drills into the iron-rich regolith. It does not build the Dyson Swarm immediately. It builds a copy of itself. The mathematics of self-replication are terrifyingly efficient. One probe becomes two become four become 8. In a geometric progression, the surface of Mercury is consumed by a wave of silver machinery. Within 60 doubling cycles, the entire surface of the planet is covered in autonomous factories. We are not building a structure, we are inducing a technological cancer upon the rock. Once the replication reaches critical mass, the directive shifts. The factories stop making copies and start making the swarm elements. These are not heavy space stations, but ultra-lightweight mirrors, mere atoms thick, attached to control circuits. We strip the planet's crust to spin gossamer webs of light. To launch them, we do not use rockets. Chemical propulsion is archaic, a waste of mass. Instead, we construct massive electromagnetic railguns, mass drivers, along the Martian-scarred equator of Mercury. Every few seconds, a packet of folded mirrors is accelerated to escape velocity, fired from the surface like a bullet. Thwack, thwack, thwack. A continuous stream of matter leaves the planet. Once in orbit, these packets unfurl. They are solar sails, thousands of kilometers wide, catching the solar wind. They do not orbit in a simple ring. They form a chaotic, buzzing cloud. This is where the physics gets elegant. The mirrors are statites, static satellites, using the pressure of light itself to counteract the sun's gravity. Hovering in fixed positions relative to the star, they don't just reflect, they focus. Each mirror captures a fraction of the sun's 384 yottawatts. They channel this raw thermal fury into coherent beams, microwaves or lasers, targeting collection stations. The sun is no longer a wildfire. It is a fusion reactor with a throttle. As the decades pass, Mercury shrinks. Its mountains are ground to dust. Its core is hollowed out. The planet becomes a ghost, traded for a halo of gold and silver surrounding the star. The swarm thickens. From Earth, the sun begins to change. It is no longer a perfect yellow sphere, it becomes banded, shrouded in the machinery of a god-tier civilization. We have successfully engineered the Dyson Gap, the transition from scarcity to infinity. The definition of value collapses. When the swarm comes online, the concept of economy as we know it, based on scarcity and allocation, evaporates. With 384 yottawatts of power at our fingertips, we can brute force the laws of physics. We can desalinate entire oceans for a rounding error of energy. We do not need to conserve, we need to invent new ways to spend. But this godhood comes with a terrifying thermodynamic price tag. The second law of thermodynamics is not a suggestion, it is a prison sentence. Energy used is heat generated. If we beam even a fraction of the swarm's output back to Earth, we will not liberate humanity. We will cook it. The waste heat alone would boil the atmosphere within days. This is the heat death of a Type 2 civilization. We have successfully built a fire that is too hot for the hearth. To survive our own invention, we are forced to abandon the cradle. We must move our industry, our massive computations, and our civilization into the swarm itself, living in habitats floating among the mirrors. Earth becomes a garden, a museum piece, while the real work of humanity migrates to the dark vacuum. And when those who remain on Earth look up, they no longer see the warm yellow face of a benevolent deity. They see a star caged in a lattice of silicon and graphene. The sun is dimmer, redder. The sky is no longer nature, it is infrastructure. We face the ultimate existential vertigo. We have secured our survival against the cold death of the universe for billions of years. But in doing so, we have irrevocably altered the view. We are no longer children playing under the sun. We are its jailers. We have conquered the light. Yet the Dyson Swarm is not merely a power plant. It is an engine. By manipulating the light pressure of the sun unevenly, opening a vent in the sphere, we create a thrust, a cosmic exhaust. We turn the entire solar system into a starship. We are no longer drifting through the Milky Way, subject to the chaotic drift of the galaxy. We are steering. We can navigate away from supernovae, dodge stellar collisions, or drive our star toward other civilizations. Humanity ceases to be a passenger on Earth and becomes the pilot of the sun. This is the true horizon of a Type 2 civilization. We do not just inhabit the dark, we illuminate it on our own terms, driving our burning chariot across the infinite Black Sea. In caging the star, we solve the problem of survival, but we invite the problem of purpose. When energy is infinite and immortality is an engineering constraint, what becomes of the human soul? We will have built a fortress of light in a universe of darkness, a beacon so bright it may attract things we are not ready to meet. Or perhaps the silence remains, and we realize that in the entire cosmic dark, we are the only fire that burns by choice.